Do we have a clip yet?
Hello, fight fans. Welcome. We are so happy to have you in on our normal time once again here on Wednesday night. Sneaking in, this is a proudly South Florida show, at least on Maddie's end. I'm from West Texas. Sneaking this in before Hurricane Milton, and I think it's a good one and a good card. 13 fights from the UFC Apex this week. UFC Vegas 98. Cannot wait to get this started. And Maddie, we need to do a little housekeeping. Last week we had UFC 308. We have the comment as well. If you've been following this show since the very, very beginning, we've now done 47 shows. We finally hit our long shot parlay, which, by the way, you're not going to hit a lot of them. Plus 7,100 last week. Ryan Spann, Court McGee. Thank you, Olajuwon Dream in the chat for giving us a shout out. Maddie, the show parlay ends up cashing. Now, I want you to tell you why you weren't exactly thrilled with that outcome, and it has nothing to do with the show or its viewers.
Yeah, no, I'm glad it hit because it's good to hit one on the show, and it's good for a lot of people to make money. But as you know, I'm in Florida. I'm limited to a Hard Rock Sportsbook. In person, I tried on the kiosk and at the counter to put that parlay in. Unsuccessful. It was something with how the fights were categorized on the Hard Rock. Ryan Spann by submission was the leg I couldn't put in. I'm so mad, boys. I am so fucking mad about this shit because you guys know I would have put either 500 or 1,000 on that, which means it would have paid. It probably wouldn't have been 71 to 1, but it probably would have been 60 to 1, right? So I would have either won 30 grand or 60 grand, depending on how much I put on it. Of course, I didn't get the bet in. I did win some good money on Ryan Spann, so I actually won 9,800 on Ryan Spann just by submission. And then I also hit the round one sub prop. So I did well on Ryan Spann, but bro, that was a gift of a parlay. Like, those odds were very mispriced. I'm sorry. The Court McGee one was so surgical. Like, because he's not really a submission guy, but we were playing the matchup. We were playing the opponent. We were playing the guy in Tim Means who constantly gives those up. And, dude, that sub wasn't even under the neck. We've seen people not tap to way more than that. Yep. You know, so I was actually surprised. So on my full card, I had McGee round 2-3 sub, which sucked because I didn't think he was going to get it that easily in the first round. Which, by the way, Court McGee's a guy we should look to play at plus money a hell of a lot more often moving forward because even though he's up there in age, he looks good. He had neck surgery. He feels great. And he's got a very well-rounded skill set, and he's a dog. He's always going to be plus money. So, you know, maybe we'll look to keep some bets going on him in the future. Maybe not on the sub, but maybe on the plus money. But point is, I'm glad everyone won the 70 to 1. Or whatever you guys got it at. I can't believe I didn't get it here in Florida. I'm so mad. You have no idea. But it is what it is. It's how it goes sometimes. And people are saying like, oh, I could have done this and that. Trust me, guys. I didn't know it was going to fucking hit, right? Like I put in a bunch of shit. Like when I put in all these parlays at once, I'm checked out afterwards, right? Like, yeah, I could have put in a straight bet on the first fight and then rolled it over. And again, it was more of just like, it just figures that's what happened, you know?
Yep. I mean, I totally agree with you. This is the first time I've actually been able to track our long shot. So just some quick math for the folks, because like we've gotten comments before, not usually very many, but like about how the long shot never hits or it's just not, it doesn't make any sense to take. And now if you're in a place where you can bet on normal sports books like FanDuel, you can tail the long shot every week. We craft it that way. So it's on like a common sports book. I said, we've done 47 shows at this point. You just hit 71 to 1. So if you put 1 unit on our long shot parlay, you're up just 24 units on that parlay. We're actually tracking a little bit in the red on this quote unquote safe parlay. So you put all that math together, you're still profitable if you do it responsibly. Yeah. And like, you know, Matty, you gave out your card that had Spann sub, a lot of different things on there. I got very fortunate on a few other things like Alexander Hernandez decision. I was the only one that that was any sort of happy after the Juliana Pena decision, because I threw that in model recommendation. Very lucky there. And sometimes the split decisions are going to go your way. Sometimes they're not. And that's just kind of the game
Yeah,
we play. But
100%.
I still think a good showing for us, and we'll try to keep it rolling here. UFC Vegas 98. And yes, why don't we put that comment up if we can? The fight has been canceled. We
Yeah.
prep these shows with a lot of moving parts with the people that work behind the scenes here. This fight has been canceled. Chris Barnett, unfortunately, because of the hurricane I mentioned earlier, is pulled out of this fight. Junior Taffa got a new opponent today. I have not done any research on that, Matty, so I think we're just going to benefit by
Let's
skipping.
just skip it. Yeah,
It's just
for sure.
ugly heavyweight anyway, so it's not particularly.
Hey, Chris
something.
Barnett, bro. Chris Barnett's a monster. I wanted to bet on him as a dog. Nah, I probably wouldn't have.
Against
It was a
Taffa,
bad matchup for him, but
yeah.
he's got that dog in him though. You never know.
We'll have to figure out. Hopefully, they re-rack that fight. We'll figure out the question: does Chris Barnett have a double leg? Because that could make that fight a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But,
And if he gets a double leg and gets on top position, I don't know if Taffa's getting up. Truthfully,
I don't know if anybody in heavyweight is getting up if Barnett can get on top. I mean, he's so much fun with the head kicks and stuff. So best wishes to Chris. Hopefully we'll see him again soon. But we'll dive in here with this fight then and kick our preview coverage off here. Julia Polastri taking on Corey McKenna at strawweight. For those that are kind of digging around in the muck every week like Matty and I, this is kind of a banger after Polastri very, very close to a win in her UFC debut against Josephine Knudsen. And Corey McKenna has been kind of prowling around this just outside the rankings area at strawweight for a while. She's put together a few nice wins here and there, but the Team Alpha Male product definitely looking to get back in the win column. She was subbed by Jacqueline Amarim armbar in round 1 in her last fight. So McKenna coming back as a dog here. Polastri, a favorite at minus 184 despite never having won in UFC thus far. Wondering what you're thinking in this one, if we're going to pass on it and just kind of move and put our units elsewhere.
I like Julia here, and is this now the first fight of the night, or no? There's a replacement.
Yes, so I think I think we're waiting on bout,
because I was gonna say if it's first fight of the night here, it's the submission again, and I like the submission for Julia here.
Yeah, I've got this weirdly out of order.
It's all good.
We'll talk about this one. So you're looking at sub here. Polastri definitely somebody that can do that. I'm taking a look right now back into my notes of hers. Now she nearly won her last fight with her takedowns, and she was very close to a couple of submissions on Knudsen. She was able to squeak away. She's got 3 pro wins by sub. Do you see that as like a weakness on the McKenna side?
Yeah, no, I do, and I think Josephine Knudsen is way better than Corey McKenna. Right. I'm actually surprised this only minus 180, bro.
Yeah.
I think she's a good money line play here as the favorite.
I'm curious. So I'm not signed up, nor do I look very often at like a different sports book, the Worldwide Leaders sports book, if that gives away the hint. But it says it's minus 130 right now. If that's the case and minus 184 is posted on FanDuel, you probably have to take that by principle. But I like you. I'm with you, dude. I think Polastri is.
What's minus 130?
There's a line showing like on an odds site. It says minus 130 on a certain sports book, and I would feel inclined to take that if that was actually accurate. But maybe this is just day of Steam and it hasn't updated. But like, man, Polastri at minus 130 would be a sick price that I don't think exists. I like her too, Matty. I think size is a big factor in this fight. Polastri is just a lot bigger. Not by height. McKenna's actually an inch taller, but like bigger and stronger. McKenna used to fight at atom weight. And look, the reality with Corey is I've won a lot of money on her at times. I think she's a great favorite to fade because she doesn't particularly separate. She has the 1 win by submission, but she typically does well in fights where the other girl can't grapple. That is not the case here with Polastri, who really she's shown well-rounded skill set. She got a submission on the Contender Series. God, they made her fight Jasmine Jasdovicius at 125 pounds in her first appearance there. So I think Polastri is well overdue to get a UFC win. We have a lot of people that are very high on Knudsen. I think Polastri money line is okay here, and I can't say this is a smash spot that I might want to include in our safe parlay, but I kind of lean Polastri and I lean sub just like you.
Yeah, there are some like Corey McKenna has some wins kind of a while back that 2020 Kay Hansen, 2020 Vanessa Demopoulos.
Yeah,
like she has some okay wins. So It's like you said, it's probably not a smash spot, but I'm
Yeah.
going the favorite here, and I'm gonna look at the sub prop when it comes up.
Yeah, it's just so tough where women's strawweight, the margins are thin. There really aren't knockdowns to decide rounds. It's like I have her highlighted, but do I ever see myself to a point where I'm going to be able to bet her? So I'm taking a look here. Is this, do I have this right? So Polastri minus 140 live on FanDuel. So that McKenna's taking quite a bit of money here.
That's
I think
crazy.
minus 140 is a much more acceptable price. It really does come
Agreed.
down to the price.
Agreed. Let's
All
move
right.
on.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. We'll keep it boogie in here, and this includes a fight that I couldn't wait to ask you about because I think your
Yeah.
Dan Arguetta meter has been pretty darn solid in the years that I've been talking to you. It's kind of a random meter to have, but you called Arguetta getting submitted in his last fight, John Matsumoto. You definitely won a two-legger off of that, if I remember correctly. And Arguetta now has had this weird career where he's got drug tests, failed overturns, up in weight in his debut. Now he's got to take on a guy that's coming off the Contender Series already from this season. Cody Haddon had an explosive first-round knockout on the Contender Series when I bet his opponent. So that's how DWCS can go sometimes. But Haddon, a very highly thought-of guy, definitely has to be if he's going to get a guy with Arguetta's success in his debut. What do you think in this matchup here at one?
Yeah, so the 2-leg I hit back in April, it was $1,000 to win 46,000. That was on Hard Rock. I had Cesar Almeida by knockout over Dylan Booker. That hit after he defended the takedowns for the first round. He got it. I think he got it in the second round. Then I had Gene Matsumoto by sub against Dan Arguetta, and that was like a buzzer beater submission. And round 2, there was like 2 seconds left when he tapped. And then, funny enough, Cody here has 2 straight submission wins, right? On Contender Series, his last fight, and then his fight prior. At Hex Fight Series 29, there's a round 2, both rear naked chokes. So it's interesting. I don't know that Cody's jiu-jitsu is high level as Gene Matsumoto's, though. What do you think?
No,
he has jiu-jitsu, but I don't know if it's as high level.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Like, we didn't really get to see it a lot on the Contender Series. That was mostly a standing fight, and by the way, he looked outstanding in that fight. I just want to confirm, by the way, this bout's at 135. Both these guys have kind of fluctuated either regionally or in UFC. It is at 135, which I think does help. If it was at 145, I feel like Arguetta would really be in a little bit of trouble, but I haven't really made up my mind about this fight. Haddon had great numbers coming off the Contender Series, plus 5.71 striking success rate. That's not typically a guy I look to fade when I feel like Arguetta has been punchable at distance. I feel like his takedown defense, 57%, hasn't been perfect at times. When typically the strategy of UFC is that they try to get these guys that have highlights on the Contender Series a winnable first fight to get some momentum, and maybe he's the new flavor that they're looking to push here. It'll all come down to his takedown defense. Didn't get to see it on the Contender Series. Another fight where I lean favorite, but even much less so than the last one. I don't think I have a specific lean on this fight as we sit here.
Yeah, no, there's some good comments. Like, Cody's more of a club and sub kind of guy. I can see that here as well. Like a rear naked choke after tagging him on the feet. But I don't know. I think this is a winnable fight for Cody. I think minus 180 isn't too expensive here, but I mean, Dan Arguetta's pretty solid. Like, he's going to come forward. His losses, Ricky Tercios, Damon Jackson, and then the Matsumoto one, which he was performing decently in the Matsumoto fight until he got guillotined.
Yeah.
I wonder who won that first round in that fight. I don't even remember.
Between Matsumoto and Arguetta. Well, Arguetta landed like 7 takedowns in the first round. Hey, let me get the official number. It was quite a few, and honestly, I think he gassed. It was 4 takedowns in the first round, 5 in the second round. He was spam wrestling in that fight, which I think was probably the play against Matsumoto if you avoid the sub. But I definitely think that at this point, Arguetta, I was worried about his gas tank in that fight. I don't think it looked very solid. I was worried about it. I maybe Haddon 2-3. This is a tough fight that we don't have props yet. Maybe Haddon 2-3, if I target maybe some of those gas tank concerns again, could be an interesting look.
Yeah, and this could even be a TKO, truthfully. Or the decision's on the table. Yeah, I don't have a huge read on this fight, truthfully.
Me neither.
I want to watch some more footage before the weekend as well, but I'm gonna pass on this right now. I actually think Cody by decision could be a play here, depending on the number.
I lean Cody late too. It's just like I like Arguetta, but it feels like he's getting another killer matchup here, man. It's like he had Ronnie Lawrence back there, Matsumoto. There are no easy fights at 135.
Yeah.
It's starting to feel like so.
I mean, Matsumoto I think is really good though.
Yeah,
you almost wonder if it's a good buy low spot on Arguetta too. Like I said, I don't have a read on this fight, so I'm gonna spend some more time on it. But
yeah,
let's move on in the meantime.
I couldn't tell you what'll make my card, if anything, on that right now. So let's move on to the next one.
These numbers are wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we just have those flipped like on the odds,
flipped,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, Pat Sabatini is the small underdog here.
Yeah, he is. But this isn't the next fight up either. Can we pull up, guys? I've got Carpenter Rocha as the first fight on the card, so there it is. Let's talk about this one since we got people here early. Clayton Carpenter taking on Lucas Rocha at flyweight. Definitely a couple of very well-regarded prospects at 125. Rocha coming off the Contender Series, a flying knee win. And Carpenter's a guy who got a submission in his UFC debut last year. Haven't seen a lot of him, but he trains out at the MMA lab with Sean O'Malley, with Marcus McGee, with Mario Bautista, who's maybe not the most popular dude around these parts right now, if my guy Hey Jive is anything to be concerned about. But Carpenter, Rocha, it looks like we got the odds wrong on this fight as well.
So many mistakes, bro. Someone's getting fired.
Don't be on the wrong end. Matty, this is the MattyBetss show. He is the boss. Don't be wrong on the boss. But let's talk about this fight with regards to the graphics and things like that. Whatever it is. I've got Carpenter right now a minus 210 favorite. Rocha's plus 162. We don't have props on this guy. So over minus 200, what are you thinking in this fight? Is Rocha a guy that maybe you think you'd take a stab with?
So Carpenter's the minus 180 favorite, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's minus 210 right now.
He's minus 210. He's minus 210. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for good reason. You know, Edgar Chairez win is really good. Is a really good win. Let me see. So pull this up real quick. So Rocha's was 17-1. Wow. 17-1. Mm-hmm. Contender Series had the round 2 TKO off the knees. Wow. 3 decisions, 4 submissions, 10 wins by knockout. Clayton Carpenter here. He's taking too much steam though. Minus 210 is crazy.
I mean, I contributed to it in a way, so like I kind of understand that. Like I've mentioned his name in passing in a few flyweight fights that we've recapped before. Like I think Carpenter could be super special. He had the convincing win over Edgar Chairez that is aged like wine in this division, and I really think at Carpenter at this stage is the more well-rounded guy. We saw Lucas Rocha on the Contender Series get taken down a bunch. Let me get the official numbers here. He's taken down 5 times in that opening round by Davy Bittencourt. Looked like Bittencourt got a little sloppy trying to get back in on his entry. That's when he got kneed in the face. I feel much more comfortable about Carpenter and the wrestling we've seen from him so far. 2.47 takedowns per 15. Excellent efficiency on the feet, plus 1.65 striking success rate. I think his biggest issue is that he's going to have a hard time making 125. Like, this is a tough cut for him. He's a huge dude. Like, the scale is a little worrisome for me. But Rocha, when I saw him get controlled so easily in the first round of the Contender Series, and maybe on Discord I was a little harsh to call it a luck box, but when you are getting spam rustled and you happen to find that connection on that knee, it is a great moment. It's not indicative of great future performance. So, you know, maybe Roach has gone back. He's taken the year-ish off to retool the quick hit, but I liked Carpenter here, and I parlayed him with a favorite that we'll talk about later.
What's the sub prop on this one, bro? There's so many fucking subs, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning Carpenter points. I guess in this space, I think Rocha, I would grade his BJJ all right. Not anything like that we saw particularly in his debut. He has 4 pro wins by sub, 10 by knockout. He went the distance in his only fight with LFA, UFC's quote unquote AAA affiliate. So I really haven't seen a ton of BJJ like danger or success at this point. And Carpenter, you know, we know he got the finish in the Contender Series. So we got a comment sub at plus 500 at unnamed.
Dude, that's worth it, bro.
Yeah, let me take a look if we've got. Yeah, on Wednesday we know we're going to be working uphill in football season when it comes to props, but
Mhm.
It's interesting that you like. I imagine Carpenter decision, by the way, will be the shortest outcome of this fight. Probably like plus 130, plus 140, if I had to guess, just because it's going to be overwhelmingly likely to go the distance over 2.5 rounds here on Shady Sportsbook minus 145.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus 500 though. That's crazy.
Who knows for that? You know, sometimes you get broken numbers on offshore books and things like that. Who knows for that game? I
Yeah.
can't imagine it'll be that high, but maybe we'll get lucky. It's a good thing to look out for as lines drop. So why don't we move on from that guy, Matty? Well, if we can find our way to Gorimbo and Price. We'll talk about this welterweight bout that I've got fourth in. Themba Gorimbo taking on Nico Price. I think this is an interesting one and one that I got to model. Really, really interesting that you've got Gorimbo as kind of the unknown, the up and coming guy, taking on Price on the other side. Veteran comes off a
Dude,
win.
another one? Another fucked up odds?
We
Oh
got
my god.
we got in chat here. They want your best Donald Trump, you're fired impression. For whatever we got.
I'm not
going
a good
on.
impression guy.
But I was able to model this
Unfortunately.
guy, Matty. I wasn't
Dude, why?
overly surprised by the result. But where do you lean when you hear that these two are randomly going to match up on Saturday?
Say it again, bro.
Where do you lean between these two? With Gorimbo right now minus 345.
Gorimbo knockout. Sorry, Nico Price. He's knocking his ass out in the Apex. Nico Price is here for a little paycheck, and he's getting teed off on. Give me Gorimbo by knockout.
It's certainly an interesting angle when Gorimbo showed a ton of power. What'd you say?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, he showed a ton of power in that fight against Pete Rodriguez, and like I think of him as a really plus athlete for this division. But I just have a question that's been creeping in the back of my mind. I haven't played anything in this fight yet. Are we sure Gorimbo's any good, like at all? Because he takes on Ramiz Brahimaj in his last fight. It felt like he really struggled to like get that fight to the ground, to maintain position, and he's kind of this sloppy chain wrestler. You know, Brahimaj is a guy that himself has just a couple of UFC wins. They were quick submissions against guys that didn't last very long themselves. And then Gorimbo gets a decision against him. We've seen Pete Rodriguez knocked out in his two UFC fights at this point. And then his other win came kind of sloppy via decision over Takashi Sato. So, like, I look at Nico Price and I say, yeah, maybe the chin is dust. He's 35 years old. But how can you argue with the Alex Morono is your guy. I think he's even on this card later that we'll talk about him. Price was able to kind of out-hustle.
He used to be my guy.
Oh, okay. But
he just disappoints the shit out of me. Ever since I hit the 25-1 round 2 sub on him, he's let me down constantly. But I guess I can't complain when I hit a 25-1 on him.
That's true. But like, you know, maybe this fight is Gorimbo just too big, too strong, too athletic. But I think Price's experience, and I think maybe a more well-rounded skill set, and certainly Gorimbo is a guy that's pushed a high pace. Nico, we've seen him push a high pace. And I wonder if this is a gas out type of fight. But I've got Gorimbo 57.5% likely to win here. Fight 60.1% likely to go the distance. So I imagine Price by points is where my model is going to kind of lean in this fight. But
Yeah.
I think the number is way too wide, and I agree with that assessment.
It just comes down to where Nico's at in his career. 35, like, is this dude? I mean, because you look at like he's getting knocked out by Phil Rowe, Robbie Lawler. I mean, Robbie Lawler, that people literally thought that round 1 knockout was like a dive.
I thought it was a dive. I thought it was a dive, and then I bet on him against Morono because I thought it was a dive.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's an older Robbie Lawler, right? But then he goes the distance to Michel Pereira back in 2021. That was kind of before Michel Pereira just started finishing everybody. You know, Luke A, round 3 doctor stoppage. Jeff Neal, he got put away in the second round. Abdul AlHassan, he got put away in the first round. The dude gets knocked out a lot. Okay, he gets knocked out a lot. This is kind of a good spot, I think, for them, but to get a KO here. It just really depends on the price more than anything, which I'm gonna try to see what that's looking like here.
I think to
Um,
continue with my hypothesis that Price took a dive, it's a little scary that he might take a dive against Gorimbo when Gorimbo's a guy I've been hesitant to fade because he's like Dwayne the Rock Johnson's favorite fighter, right? Like he had the
yeah.
meeting with him. Like UFC likes Gorimbo. I think that much is evident. He was on the main card against Brahimaj for no reason. I just man, it terrifies me. I will feel like an idiot no matter what happens here because if Gorimbo dominates with his athleticism, I'm gonna be like, oh, of course he was worth minus 340 every penny.
Yeah.
And then if he can't fight at all and Nico ends up, boxing him up, getting a decision, or even getting him out of their lane, I'll be like, oh yeah, Gorimbo was a fraud. What am I doing? So I don't really know
So
what to do in this fight.
yeah, no, I think going but that Robbie Lawler fight was weird, bro.
Yeah.
By the way, I was so at Moicano's fight, I talked to Robbie for like an hour because we were just standing outside of the weigh-ins area waiting for Moicano to come out. Dude, he is so fucking funny. He started we were talking about Aline Perez on the scale, how she started like shaking. And
Yeah.
he's like, dude, I don't even know who that is. He was just so funny, bro. But no, I don't know. I think so. Gorimbo by knockouts plus 250. I don't think it's a terrible number. It's not the greatest number in the world, but I think it's kind of spot on here.
Do we have let's see, do we have I'm just looking for any sort of prop life anywhere out in the ether so we get an idea. Over 2.5
Yeah.
rounds minus 120.
Also, how many? This is one angle to look at here. Let me pull this up. AJ Fletcher subbed Gorimbo. What do you think about Nico's submission threat here? Probably not happening, but it's got to be a big payout.
Yeah, virtually non-existent. Now 0.6 attempts.
Only 3 submission wins.
Yeah,
his whole
0.6 per
career.
15 minutes was more than I was expecting, actually.
He's an arm triangle, a rear naked choke. These are years ago, like in like 2017. Yeah, he hasn't had one in forever, bro.
Yeah, I'm not as confident as I was even in Fletcher's BJJ there. I think if anything, it's points is what it feels like to me. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm so in line with the model. I've got over fight goes the distance around minus 150. Looks like it's going to come in around minus 120 or so.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next fight up here. So let's see
this-
if we can navigate. Yeah, we can navigate it here. We're doing our best. Now we are at Pearce Sabatini. So let's talk about the featherweight bout between Jonathan Pearce taking on Pat Sabatini. Odds have shifted a lot on this fight, so it's important to get them right and get the live ones here. Pearce currently minus 162 on FanDuel. Pat Sabatini coming back at plus 126 on the other side here. That has moved a lot in JSP's direction. He was minus 136 on Sunday. So battle of grapplers, both of them coming off of losses. This is kind of a big trajectory fight at 145. It feels like everybody's got an opinion. So, Matty, I guess my question is, what is yours?
Bro, when I first looked at this fight, I was getting ready to make like a 3-unit play on Jonathan Pearce.
Yeah.
And now I'm fucking scared, dude. Because
Why?
I started overthinking it. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, if this is just a grappling match, isn't Sabatini better here? Like, there's a chance that he may be better in this spot. And like, I mean, Pearce was looking really good against Jonas and Brito. Then he got caught by that sub, which I hit on, by the way. And I was like, I thought the bet was dead. Like, Pearce was actually putting a pace on Jonas and Brito, which is not easy to do. Brito puts a pace on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like, I like Jonathan Pearce in general, but it's like, what is he going to do in this matchup? You know, like,
yes,
how often is he going to strike? That's the key for me. I would prefer he just doesn't even wrestle at all, don't grapple at all, just stay on the feet, pressure Sabatini, don't get into these grappling exchanges, and keep throwing them hands. And I think he's even live for a knockout in that scenario. But I don't know. I started overthinking this one a little bit. And I feel like this is almost a good get. This is like the buy low spot of the century in a decent style matchup. In a decent matchup stylistically for Sabatini, so I started overthinking it. I like the fact that Jonathan Pearce went the distance with David Onama. I think very highly of him. And then I like some of his wins. Christian Rodriguez, Darren Elkins. Like, he has some decent wins, and he has some close losses against Onama and Brito, where he looked good in certain scenarios. So I think he can outstrike Sabatini, maybe put him away, or maybe win on the scorecards. But I'm also nervous that he grapples too much here. And maybe loses on the scorecards, or maybe Sabatini finds a sub. So I don't know. I'm kind of overthinking this one maybe a little bit, but like Sabatini, a couple of years ago, I think would have been a big favorite in this fight. Prior to the Damon Jackson loss, maybe. And his grappling's good, dude. Like, he grappled, he grappled in competition, subbed Alex Caceres, subbed Nico Price in a grappling competition. He's grappling a lot. He's grappling more than he's fighting. He's had 1, 2, 3 grappling matches out of his last, and he's had 2 fights. He's had 3 grappling matches and 2 fights. That's been his last 5 competitions. And then the Damon Jackson ground and pound isn't a good look, in my opinion. And then Diego Lopez is what it is. I mean, Lopez arguably should have finished fucking, what's his name in the first round at the Sphere, Brian Ortega. So I don't really take anything from him in that matchup, but I don't know. This one's confused the shit out of me, dude. What do you think?
Yeah, so I follow your line of thinking exactly. I took Jonathan Pearce at -130. That is no longer the price, so we have a decision to make. I have him modeled at -145 here, and look, to me, it comes down to I'm very high level thinking about this fight is that I think Jonathan Pearce can do multiple things in an MMA fashion, and Sabatini can really do one. He can grapple at a high level, but if Pearce has been drilling his takedown defense, and I saw an interview he did with Young Ko of the MMA Junkie, he was talking about trying to stand in this fight. He's like, yeah, I'm tall. I think I can defend his wrestling. I think that's the exact right game plan. Is he should try to keep this fight at distance, because when Sabatini's been there, it hasn't gone well. Jamal Emmers hurt him. Damon Jackson hurt him. Diego Lopez hurt him. So I think Pearce has big athletic hands for the division. We really haven't seen much of like a huge power overarching, but this is a guy that used to fight at 145. If Sabatini is chinny at all, I feel like Pearce can take full advantage of that. Really, I think the biggest problem for Pearce is that though his past style has been aggressive, grappling offensively, he was reversed 5 times by David Onama. Joe Anderson Brito got the ghillie choke on him. I worry about him in advantageous positions with Sabatini on bottom via triangle or guillotine choke.
I agree, dude.
Or making a mistake. And I think I can hedge out of my Pearce position with Sabatini sub potentially.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. I actually think you can play Pearce KO, Sabatini sub with a little 2-way action here. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of 2-way action. I've been having some success with it too.
Yeah.
But I think, obviously it could go to the scorecards, if Pearce is just being very conservative, keeping on the feet, just striking and not getting too aggressive. So there's not a lot of grappling. I think there's a world where that could happen. But I think you look at both these guys' weaknesses. Sabatini gets chinned. Pearce gets caught in submissions when he's grappling. Yes. I think you play both those odds depending on what the numbers are. Let me take a look. The Sabatini sub, I think, could pay pretty decent here. And then Pearce knockout. It's crazy. Pearce has 9 wins by KO. That's way more than I thought.
Yeah, just more so ground and pound. I don't think he necessarily defaults to submission attempts in
So Sabatini by submission plus 375, Pearce by KO plus 400. We can imagine we're gonna get 400 and 450 on FanDuel at least, I would think. And I think you could throw a half unit on both of those and just look to win some coin.
I don't love that Sabatini sub number. I've got it at plus 535, which my instinct is I don't want to hedge because I think I do think Pearce.
I'm down to throw Pearce in a knockout parlay if you're in on that.
Yeah, I think it could be undervalued. I've got it around 12%. It just kind of depends. Let me see if I get a total in this fight.
Diego Lopez put him away so freaking fast, dude.
And so did David Jackson. Matty and Jackson,
both in round one. That round one, he could just be too much. Pearce puts a pace on people.
Yes.
Round one knockout could feed families, bro. I could see that.
So over 2.5 is -190. That is interesting. I think maybe we even look at the under in our safe parlay.
I love the under on that. That's ridiculous number.
We've seen Sabatini's deficiencies, and I will say that I know Sabatini is a very highly regarded grappler, but his sample in the octagon, Damon Jackson flattened him out. His 5 wins have come against guys who are 7-9 against everyone else. He's a very good hammer against low-level competition, but how well can he play the nail if Pearce is aggressive, if Pearce is moving forward in this fight? the answer has been not well against Lopez and Jackson, and I think JSP is a guy that can get a lot of that similar type of work done. So I like JSP here, but I'm not alone on that with his money line flyer.
No, I like it. I think I got to stick with my gut on this one. I'm telling you, I was gonna run to the counter, and then I've been so swamped. But like, I wanted to lock Pearce in when I saw this matchup, But it's lost some value for sure, a lot of value. If you got it at -130,
yeah. I watched that number like a hawk too. I was like, because I was waiting for it to go up because I figured it would, but it's an interesting fight for sure. I think either way that happens, it's again going to be one of those fights. I saw Hajive took Sabatini submission. I totally get it. I totally get
it.
Did? Yeah. Depending on what number he got 550, I think. I totally get it. Totally snap.
Oh, that's a much better number. I saw I saw on another book offshore. It was like what did I say? 375.
At the Hard Rock, you got a boogie, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I'm fucking hitting Hard Rock this weekend. I'm so pissed, bro.
Yeah. You're out for revenge.
Hitting those fuckers. I'm getting them. Yeah, I'm getting my revenge this weekend. I should have hit 60-1 on them.
Hopefully,
pissed,
hopefully you are able to hit them and the storm is not. That would be best case scenario.
Yeah.
So,
hopefully the storm blows it down. No.
Yeah. Why don't we move on here to a fight?
One?
Yeah, that I have very little confidence in. You guys know I love data. Ramazan Temirov has none of it. He is making his UFC debut here against CJ Vergara. Can we give CJ Vergara a matchup that is not this superstar grappling prospect? Like, good God. He's plus 255 again here. Vergara, a guy I typically like, but we kind of know what the deal with him is at this stage. Matty, have you seen anything on Temirov here? And, are you willing to eat the chalk? Is this a place that you have circled where you just don't believe in CJ at this pace?
I mean, I think if you take a dog shot, you just take a knockout win for him, He did, he made it to the second round with Tatsuro Taira, which is okay.
He made it to the second round with him.
Yeah. I don't know. I would just take the knockout prop if you're going to take him here, but no, I think he gets steamrolled.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that coming from Uzbekistan is more of a grappling base, that he only has one career pro win via submission. Temirov does, which does help with CJ. We've seen him have to constantly fight off submission attempts from Asu Almabayev. You mentioned the Taira matchup was pretty hard. Now, when we saw him against a striker in Vinicius Salvador, he looked really good. He won. He got hurt early by Daniel Lacerda, ended up becoming the advancing party and winning that one in the second round after Lacerda gassed out. So, like, I'm afraid that 60% takedown defense, this just looks like Temirov by points and looks like Vergara's last couple of setbacks where he just can't stay on his feet. But I also want to say there's a non-zero chance this guy might be a complete and total fraud. His competition in Rizin is better than you'll see a lot from like regional promotions. I feel a lot better about him fighting with Rizin in Japan than maybe some random Uzbekistani promotion. But
yeah.
I need to watch more tape on Temirov. I was kind of doing the contender series leading up to last night. Without any data, I'm pretty useless here.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way, bro. I don't have much for you on this fight.
Yeah, we'll
fight to end by knockout looks good to me. Whatever that number ends up being.
Matty, if you catch that just at an eye glance of these guys' resumes, that is legendary. But we'll move forward and find something. I modeled a ton of fights. We just haven't really gotten to a lot of them yet. Thankfully, we are here. And I was talking to our buddy Clint McLean, who hosts the Home Fight the Die Hard MMA podcast on the Home Fight channel. Easy for me to say. Remember to subscribe to Home Fight. We will have a link to the Discord in our episode description. That'll have Matty's picks on Saturday, my picks, Clint McLean, and then as well you can pay for excellent premium picks from our guys Haddon, Hajive picks, as well as the Parlay MMA, Nolan, and then Octagon Kings with JJ. They are all in there as well, doing their thing and making a ton of money this year to date. So I absolutely wanted to plug those guys before we get to this because I was talking to Clint about it. And
what is this? Hold on. Which fight are we going over?
We got Njoukuani Gooden is what I've got next.
All right, we're good.
We're in a good spot. Yeah, and this is what I've got as far as the odds here right now. Chidi and Njoukuani minus 188 plus 146 on the Gooden side. Seen both of these guys win and lose in pretty humiliating fashion in UFC. So which veteran ends up getting it done here? I kind of find this fight interesting. What are you thinking here?
I like Jared Gooden inside the distance. Give me the dog by finish here. He has
Okay.
multiple ways to get it done. He can. I think he could TK. I think he could put Shitty out on the feet. We see him get tagged all the time. He's very
Sure.
hittable. He also can get submitted, right? And I think Jared Gooden is. I mean, he's a finisher, dude. What's he have? He has 8 submissions, 11 knockouts. Like,
Yep. He's a
I
regional.
don't think this is a good. I don't think this is a good matchup for Chidi and Njoukuani here, bro.
Yeah.
I took Mikhail Zaechuk to finish him, and that was a scary bet because he was getting tagged early. And I think that's how Zaechuk is. He's kind of like kill or be killed. Where I think Gooden's a little more responsible. I don't know, but I just think Jared Gooden is the younger guy. I think he's going to be like slightly more durable. If you look at his knockout losses, Impa. He went the distance with Randy Brown. He's pretty durable. Who's finished him? No one's really finished him. He's been
Matty. Nobody.
So
yeah,
I think that this is a no-brainer dog play here. It's like you kind of have to see it happen before you can. If Impa's the only guy that's putting you out, I think Njoukuani is a fun guy to watch, but I think he's a little overrated. He's just a physical, huge guy, and you think he's like phenomenal, but when you really look at his resume, there's just so many fights where it's like that fight you should have won, right? Albert Duraev, you should have won. Mikhail Zaechuk, RoboCop rallied and beat him, but that was actually an impressive round 1. I think that was late 2022. I think RoboCop's a little more measured now and a little more defensively responsible than he was a couple years ago. And he got cut open bad by Chitty, but then he ended up showing he's way more dog in him. I think Njoukuani quits sometimes.
Yep.
I think he quits when he knows he's getting beat up. And I think Jared Gooden could get tagged but could rally, similar to what we've seen out of RoboCop, out of who's the other guy I just said? RoboCop and
Zaechuk.
And Zaechuk. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm going Jared Gooden inside the distance. I'm not going to get cute with this one and play the knockout. I think the sub's live. I'll probably throw a unit on his money line and then another half unit on the finish. But I'm not going to be able to get away from this one. This one's definitely going to make my card here. If Chitty comes out and finishes him in round 1, then great. It is what it is. I'll give my unit and a half to the books and I'll move on to the next fight. But this is ridiculous. I think this fight should be, just based off durability alone, I think this fight should be much closer to a pick'em.
Yeah, Matty, I totally agree with you, and I think this is a good lesson for how differently we break down fights than maybe some of the super premium VIP people do, because Chidi Njoukuani's striking is beautiful. He can really do it all, and if you put him on a blank canvas, you're like, I don't know who can beat this guy in the stand-up. The problem is you throw him in the cage, and the intangibles aren't necessarily always the best. We mentioned the chin issues. He's now, I think he's lost 3 fights in a row now. And then in his last fight, he lost 3 fights in a row, and then he goes to a split decision with Reese McKee, who is winless in 4 UFC starts at this point. I feel like Njoukuani's declining a little bit. I was really high on him coming off the Contender Series. He got that 2-second knockout of Marc-Andre Barry. It was 16 seconds, actually. Very, very quickly. The matchmakers were absolutely in their bag to put this matchup together, because Njoukuani is a guy that looks great against a heavy bag, and for the first round or so, Jared Gooden is really a heavy bag, but he is stupid durable. He took a huge beating from Alan Jouban in Jouban's retirement fight, and we saw the beating that he took against Randy Brown. Took that Carlston Harris fight week of, so I don't even really want to hold it against him, but he still made it the whole distance. Gooden is a guy that you can rely on to get to minutes. So the bet that I have written down and circled when it comes out, and I don't think we've got props on this guy yet on FanDuel, but I want to look at Gooden round 3 decision here, bro. Didn't have quit. I had that I think Njoukuani slows down. I have gas tank concerns at this point. We actually do have props on this guy on FanDuel. So Gooden round 3 decision plus 430, Matty.
Oh my God, dude. Jared Gooden. Hold on. What's the submission?
Okay, let's take a look.
I see 14-1, not on FanDuel. I'm going to FanDuel now.
13-1. Gooden sub is 13-1.
Oh,
Njoukuani's a hard guy to sub, though.
Yeah. I mean, TKO is obviously, I think, more, but when you look at 11 KOs to 8 submissions for Jared Gooden, you look at that fucking neck right there of Chidi and Njoukuani, bro. I think it's going to be a club and sub. I think a club and sub's live. Or probably just a ground and pound TKO. But 13-1, bro.
Yeah.
13-1. You might have to sign me up for that.
Yeah, and by the way, inside the distance just plus 220 on its own, so that's a pretty darn good number. In addition to
his last, so Chitty, the last time he got subbed was in Bellator in 2018, round 1.
Yeah,
and then prior to that, it's been a minute, but he's fighting all strikers, dude.
Yep.
Rear naked choke lost back in 2013 was the time prior. Yeah, I mean, it would have to be. I think. How do you feel about Jared Gooden's like takedown accuracy, his submission attempts in general? I know it's probably very little.
So Gooden 0.67 takedown attempts per 15 minutes, which is, I guess, something he's hit. I'm guessing that is 1 or 2 career takedowns. What do we got? It's 3 career takedowns. He's hit all of them, all of his attempts. So. And then the only submission attempt of his entire career actually was determined to submit him in this last fight. So I don't think that I don't think though that that's indicative when he's got all this regional submission.
Hey, if you're gonna hate on the sub bets, this week is not the week because we hit a 2-leg submission parlay, 70-1. So get these comments off my fucking stream, bro.
I'm back. It just wasn't Alex Pereira. It just wasn't Alex Pereira. Which, like, I mean. Honestly, man.
No, you know what's funny is that's the only thing that people cared about because it got so much virality. Like when BR Betting posts it and then all these media outlets pick it up. I'm like, guys, I could have won every bet on the card. And if Pereira didn't get a sub, I would have got trashed by the whole world. It didn't matter what happened in the first 10 fights, right? It's just all about the Pereira by sub. But guess what, guys? We hit the 70-1 sub parlay, so you can't say shit about my submissions. And I did tell you, Austin, I remember last show, I was like, it feels like there's some good subs on this past card. I don't feel the same way on this one, as many. But last one, it felt like there were so many submission opportunities.
Yeah, and we kind of outkicked our coverage with subs. Maybe we want to pull back for regression for a little bit.
Yeah.
But
if Chitty gets tired, though, a round 2-3 sub is probably insane.
Yeah. I've just been playing rounds a lot. Good in round 2 plus 900, round 3 plus 1200. Like I've been playing rounds a lot. I was not expecting a number as high as plus 430 with what I had written down, which was Gooden decision round 3. It's a little interesting that Gooden's plus 650 by points. Like there's no way that he could potentially win this fight on the cards. Yes, when they're fresh, Njoukuani is going to be running circles around him, but this is a fight. Gooden is extremely durable, and Njoukuani has a tendency to fade. Takes over round 2 late, dominates round 3, bingo, plus 650 by points. That's my model's recommendation, by the way.
Line armbar. I like that.
Yeah, our entire show could be summarized as Matty likes the dog by submission, and I like the underdog by decision. My model does. That's our entire show.
Bro, even jokes aside, even Gooden by knockout at 3-1 is playable for me. I like that number.
Yeah. There are a lot of interesting numbers. It sounds like though you and I are aligned on Gooden, which is good because
that's for sure. We're on Gooden.
I saw that and I was like, man, and Njoukuani's really talented, and I feel like Gooden is very hittable. But then I started thinking more and more about what Chidi doesn't do well, and I kind of came back over to this side. Clint likes Gooden, by the way. He got a better number than this in the plus 150s. So always good to have the Homo Fight Picks guys aligned as well. So why don't we move on to the next
Gooden's
fight?
Literally coming off a submission win. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
Wellington Turman.
Yeah. And Turman's a black belt himself, at least by listening.
That's a good dude. That's a good submission win. I'm playing this shit. I'm a laugh in all you guys' faces when I'm walking to the bank after Gooden subs him.
After we just hit a 71-1 sub parlay, we got to run back a 2-leg sub parlay this week, right? Like that has to happen.
100%. We should do like 3 of them, bro.
Yeah, 3. But yeah, no, I really.
This guy really isn't listening, bro. I didn't say Chitty's subbing him. I said Chitty's getting submitted, bro. Trust me, that's something I wouldn't even do is check Chitty and Njoukuani by submission. That dude wants nothing to do with the ground game.
Yeah.
That's even crazier than Poetan, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys want to play that highlight video that Brad made?
Yeah, why don't hold on. I think we got a video here to show everybody at home. We got a video.
Now we got a long shot parlay. You pick one long shot, I pick one, and we put it in a parlay. Method of victory.
Don't we both like span sub 7-1?
Yeah, we do. The thing is, bro, is you print money just taking Tim Means to lose by submission. It really is crazy.
What about McGee sub at 8-1? That's plus 7,100 right there. Those two together.
Now we got a long shot parlay. You pick one. If it is over. I think it was it backwards?
No, there was one moment in there that clipped it together. It was Means and McGee, but like
one of the things I said was backwards, Brad.
It's okay. Wait, I've never been brag guy, but like 70-1, I felt like Matty Tanner on Saturday. It was the best feeling in the world.
You were able to play it somewhere? Because I know you can't bet on FanDuel.
Nope, was not able to play it. But the thing is that
both of us. How is it that both of us weren't able to actually capitalize on it?
I get more joy out of the fact that I am not able to bet my fights and my picks is why they're doing so well recently. I'm very convinced of it, and I would much rather have everybody else win than I lose and that I get tracked as losing. But all my picks are tracked. You can check it. It's like I don't have the slips, but I'm under contract. What can I say? Maybe Matty will fork over a band.
Nothing wrong with that, bro.
Matty will fork over some bands. I'll come work for him, and then I'll start betting everything.
It's gonna happen eventually. It's gonna happen.
I do love my employer though. But why don't we move on here? We guys, can we go to AlHassan and Josh Fremd because that's our.
Oh, dude, I love this fight. I cannot wait to hear what you say because this was one of the more odd model results that I got this week. So it's sort of relevant though to the betting line where Abdul Razak AlHassan taking on Josh Fremd. Abdul Razak coming off that weird fight where Cody Brundage quit. And then Fremd on the same card ends up laying underneath Andre Petrosky for 15 minutes. And those guys tend to do that to other people. But both these guys probably badly need a win here at 185, Matty. Razak AlHassan has taken some steam. He is now minus 172 after sitting in the minus 140s on Sunday. So do you agree with it? Or do you think there's a spot maybe like Gooden where we can take a dog shot? I think Abdul knocks this dude so unconscious that he's gonna be asleep for 3 minutes on the canvas afterwards, bro. I'm telling you right now, I was so happy that Cody Brundage fight that he quit and it was a no contest, right? Yeah, because I was on the wrong side of that one and I knew it instantly when Cody Brundage shot a takedown and these vicious fucking elbows were raining on him. I was like, I am on the wrong side. I'm telling you right now, I don't know how Josh Fremd wins this fight. There's only one way he wins this fight. If he survives and lets this dude gas and wins in round 3 or somehow in the scorecards, but I don't think highly of Josh Fremd's takedown accuracy. I'd love to hear your data on his ability as far as getting his opponents to the ground. And I just think he's going to get slept. Now, when Josh Fremd fought Kopylov, yeah, that's a different style. Kopylov picked him apart and was patient. This dude, Abdul, doesn't give a fuck, dude. He's coming forward. He's trying to kill you. He's not trying to, like, pick you apart and finish you by TKO in round 2 like the way Kopylov was. Mm-hmm. So it's a different matchup stylistically. I don't know what Josh Fremd could do to this dude. Like, is he going to get an early takedown and maybe, like, drain his energy? I think that's the only chance. Joe Pyfer didn't want to engage with this dude. Joe Pyfer had to be very careful in this fight. I'm very impressed with this dude. This dude is a savage. And almost all of his knockouts are like round 1. I think you play round 1, round 2 here for Abdul by knockout. And, you know, if you want to do a small hedge on like Josh Fremd round 3, which could probably pay huge, he's got the better cardio for sure. He trains at elevation.
Yeah.
But I think Abdul is going to kill him. That's just my gut instinct here.
Yeah, weirdly though, I was not expecting this because it's a tough fight for me to visualize and it's a tough one for me to handicap. My model is dead in line with the odds here. I've got Fremd at plus 135. He's plus 134, so I guess the rake is coming in on Abdul, but you don't have to bet AlHassan's money line here. You could just take him round 1 2 KO. Like, I think that's the majority of his win equity, right? Like, we talked about the cardio discrepancy. Fremd trades in elevation. By the way, something we'll talk about in the main event. Very concerning what's going on with Factory X Muay Thai right now. Like, they had a few defections. It sounded like on the broadcast last week. I've been doing everything to find out on Twitter, like what happened, which fighters left. I know Royval is not with Factory X anymore, but Josh Fremd is, which I think is helpful because I know that he is coming up with a legit game plan from Mark Montoya here. I kind of lean dog or pass at this number. I will say plus 250 for round 1 AlHassan knockout. pretty darn good number when I think
Is
it's
that what it is?
yeah. I think it's a bulk of his win equity where if it's not
We have a great KO parlay coming. Last
Yeah.
week was the submission parlay.
Yeah.
This week, the KO parlay is hitting. I need everyone in here to. So you got 600 people on the live right now.
Yeah.
Guys, stay till the end of the show. I feel like it's gonna be a 3-leg KO parlay.
Yeah. I don't love the price here, but I understand it mathematically. I do worry that Fremd has not really had this type of matchup. I see him as more a longer guy who wants to strike, and he's had to face Anthony Hernandez. He had to face it. Now Trayshawn Gore just ended up subbing him, but he had to face Petrosky. I don't think he's gotten to do what he wanted to do, and then he had to face Kopilov. And like you said, AlHassan, not nearly as diverse of a striker, not nearly as technical, just much more of a brawler. I don't think of Fremd as super chinny, so I would venture to say I think if you bet AlHassan round 1 KO plus 250 and then Fremd money line at whatever this is going to settle out. Unfortunately, the number is going to get so big that I'm going to have to bet Josh here. I think you're going to make money no matter what, because to me, Fremd can win on the cards. I think Fremd can win late. I think Fremd can win via exhaustion, but very, very improbable that he lives. So you take both of those at plus money. I'd be shocked if you ended up walking away down 2 units.
Yeah. So on FanDuel, you can take Abdul round 1-2 KO at plus 130.
It's not bad at all.
I think that's what we throw on the parlay here. I'm just nervous to just take round 1.
Yeah.
But I think that is how he gets it done. It's just like if he does get it round 2, early round 2 could be live too if somehow he makes it out of the first. So I don't know. I just saw this dude. This dude is a savage, man. Round 1 against Cody Brundage, bro. Oh my God, he was trying to kill him.
Yeah. I was going to
No,
ask
go
you any concerns how he got slept by Chaos Williams. Now that was at 170. I think his durability's improved at 185, but I mean, dude's almost 40. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, what's this fight to not go the distance?
That was from Denver, I'm pretty sure. And yeah. He was as
minus
Cody
235. That seems short, doesn't it?
Yeah. I like Fremd if it goes to the card. I actually have Fremd 3 times more likely to win a decision if it goes to the cards.
Yeah.
And FanDuel's kind of the same way. Fremd points plus 300, AlHassan points plus 700. So I think I really do think this has an early late dynamic, and it'll just all be about all that eating the bombs, which is kind of the dicey game we play, right?
Yeah. No,
all right, man. Okie dokie. Let's take a look. So now let's move up onto the main card here, buddy, and let's talk about Daniel Rodriguez taking on your guy, but not your guy anymore. We're having a little bit of a breakup on and off thing with Alex Morono, but I have been a Daniel Rodriguez type of guy in this fight. So I had to let my model do the work. We'll put all the bias aside because these guys are vets that I bet on, against, for, submission, knockout, you name it. I bet both of them probably any way you could imagine. And now in this fight, D-Rod minus 220 favorite, Morono plus 168. Matty, are you going to your guy at this price, or do you think the D-Rod chalk is worthwhile?
So first of all, the D-Rod chalk is definitely not worthwhile. Minus 220 for D-Rod at this stage of his career, bro. That's crazy. 37 years old. The loss to Kelvin now I will say he's in some weird decisions, kind of.
He is.
Like the Leech definitely beat him. I don't care what anyone says. I was at Circa in Vegas when I watched that fight, and I had the Leech, so I guess I'm biased, but I just thought it was clear that he lost that fight two rounds to 1. And then he's like, Kelvin Gastelum fight was a close decision. He got head kicked by Gary.
Yep.
He got darsed by Neil Magny.
Yeah.
Do I even have to say it right now, what I'm thinking?
What? A sub? Morono by sub? The underdog.
Dude, I don't know what to do with this fight. I really don't. He should not be minus 220. The problem with Morono is we've seen him fade. Here's the thing about Morono, though. You can make the argument that some of his losses have aged a lot better.
Sure.
Buckley, he loses to. Goes the full distance with Buckley. Buckley is now, a fight or two away from the title, right? The Court McGee decision win has now aged better as Court McGee came out and looked like a stud against Tim Means.
Yeah.
The Santiago Ponzinibbio fight, he fought a perfect first 2 rounds.
Yep.
I think that was a short notice fight. I'm not mistaken.
It was.
And he got caught 2 minutes ago in round 3. So you look at those 4 fights from 2022 to 2024, and I'm sitting here kind of talking to myself into the dog here in Morono. But like those 4 fights all have aged somewhat well outside of the Tim Means submission because Tim Means getting subbed by everybody. And then you look at the Semmelsberger fight, that was a unanimous decision win. The Nico Price loss is the one that sucks. And I think that's why this number is the way it is. You could almost correlate a parlay on the card with the Nico Price fight. You could be like, okay, if Nico Price is better than we think here as a dog, you know what I mean? So
yeah, sure.
It's dog or pass for me on the Morono side. I just hope he's in shape. That's the thing with him. You never know when he's going to fade. The Buckley fight was frustrating. Like, again, I've made a lot of money on Morono, but then recently I haven't. I had the finish in the Court McGee fight. I lost that. I had the money line in the Buckley fight. I lost that. And then obviously I had the round 2 submission with Tim Means, which was a huge long shot.
Yeah.
But Morono's just a guy that's so up and down, bro.
Yeah.
Like, knocked out in round 1 by Chaos, beats Reese McKee, loses the decision to Anthony Pettis, knocks out Donald Cerrone. Oh my God, I had a great round 1-2 KO play on that fight. I feel like when I bet Morono in the spots where he's not supposed to get it done is when he thrives.
He's a good
And
dog.
in the spots where it's like, you got to finish Court McGee, he's 40, doesn't do it, right?
Yeah.
You got to beat Nico Price, he's 35, doesn't do it. Joaquin Buckley wasn't as good as we thought he was. Like back then, wasn't as highly rated as he is today. That's a spot where it's like Morono's got to get it done. But he was just so much Buckley was just physically stronger and more explosive than Morono. Whereas the D-Rod fight, I feel like it's a similar, it's very similar as far as explosiveness. I have to go Morono as far as the value. I don't really know what I'm playing on my card here. But I think Alex Morono here is the right side just because D-Rod at minus 220 is absolutely absurd.
Yeah. I find this fight interesting because both of these guys have a lot of buts on their resume. It's like, he took this fight on short notice. Rodriguez had the weird weight thing with Gastelum where Gastelum came in heavy. They moved it up to 185. That hurt one guy. It was D-Rod, right? But in general, Matty, my model and I both agree with you. I think Morono's a little undervalued here. I've got him at plus 135. Somebody mute my mic to just Matty right now because I'm showing value on the submission. I've got it at plus 1,085. It's plus 1,200 on FanDuel. So
Morono's 12-1 by sub?
He is 12-1 by sub. So mute my mic to just
bro.
Matty.
I'll be right back. I'm going to the counter real quick.
But I think there is a very clean way where you see this fight and Rodriguez just pulls ahead at distance at a certain range where Morono can't keep
real
up.
quick, not to interrupt you, but tell me about D-Rod's takedown defense. I want to hear it from you.
It is just 56%, but the thing is, both these guys super inefficient wrestlers. They don't
Morono, yeah. And Morono couldn't take Buckley down, but Buckley is a fucking tank, dude.
Exactly.
So is there spots where Morono can get takedowns? Like this could be one of them. The problem is I don't think he can hold him down. That's the problem. He's more slick. He's opportunistic, like that choke against Tim Means. I believe it was like the perfect timing on the guillotine.
Yeah,
he just got it, but he's not getting these takedowns or getting these submissions in traditional ways where he's getting takedowns, working for it, getting in position. It's he's just opportunistic in some of these ways. So I think Morono decision here could be the move.
Yeah, it's tough to visualize him winning a decision.
Plus 290.
Maybe he's a little undervalued compared to D-Rod when I pull out the math. But in some ways, this should be a competitive fight where D-Rod leads behind his jab. I think Morono's got a pretty good jab. I feel like Morono uses his kicks a little bit more, which could be a big difference. But the thing with D-Rod is that he has a hard time separating, right? We kind of know what we get from him. High volume boxing, not a ton of power, even though he's got a couple of low level guys that he's knocked out. I feel like we're in for the long haul here. I've got this fight 73% likely to go the distance.
D-Rod by knockout's the second shortest outcome.
Yeah.
His decisions plus 160, D-Rod by knockout plus 270. Morono by decision is plus 290.
Yeah, I've got Morono points plus 265, so that's actually where I'm showing the most value in this fight. And like
Yeah.
I could see that. Something tells me this is gonna be grimy. Maybe you look for a split decision prop somewhere. I know FanDuel doesn't do them,
Yeah.
but like
And
it
D-Rod's
feels
always fucking in split in like close
it's
decisions.
a disgusting split decision. Like, the Leech fight, I don't think he won it either per se, but honestly, who cares? Because it was like 24 hours notice when those guys got matched up in light of what happened with Hamzat. So it's like, there are a lot of question marks in general. The problem that is like, why I haven't bet Morono yet? I'm waiting for a bigger number. I've got Extreme Couture with D-Rod against Fortis MMA with Morono. That's a really shitty gym matchup for Morono. And that, like, I feel like Eric Nixick is one of the best coaches to win this type of fight, and Saif Sayoud is one of the worst. So, it's really been tough for me to pull the trigger. I think it's a good fight, but I don't know where I'm gonna end up betting it.
Fair enough.
All
We'll
right.
move on. I
Yeah,
want to
let's-
spend some more time on that fight this week.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear your opinion on this one because we saw Grant Dawson before as a big favorite like this, and he went to sleep in the first 5 seconds.
It wasn't
And
great.
Rafa Garcia is a dog, man. He's a fucking dog, but it's a tough matchup for him.
Yeah, like you think that, right? And then it's like, wait a minute, are we really doing minus 440 Grant Dawson again? And then he delivers a performance like he did last time against Joe Selecki, where Selecki basically couldn't do anything. And you're like, well, yeah, that guy probably should be minus 440 against a lot of dudes. Intriguing that they made this matchup with Rafa Garcia to me. This is not like a step up fight for Dawson. It's actually kind of a step back fight for Dawson against a guy who's been on the shelf for quite a while. So, Matty, I'm going to guess based on your tone, you're not laying the Dawson chalk here. So what do you think about this one?
Yeah, no. My gut tells me Dawson by decision here.
Sure.
Is kind of the way I'm leaning in this fight. Maybe even I'm a fan of Garcia, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling with this one because I think he's a super underrated guy. I actually remember I tried winning a huge long shot. I'm trying to remember which fight it was. The Clay Guida fight for Garcia. Yeah. I tried to get the TKO prop on that one, and I feel like it was live in that fight because I think he's underrated boxing and he's got good pressure. And he's super durable, man. Never been finished, right?
Yep. He's
0 losses. Yeah, never been finished in MMA, Garcia. Now, if there's any guy that can sub him, I think this could be the spot. But I think Grant Dawson's going to outwork him. I think he's just a level above grappling wise, and I think he'll just have control in positions. I think this could be similar to Dawson's last fight. The Joe Selecki fight?
Yeah. I am curious how this fight looks because it is, does Dawson just plow right through him? Because on paper, Garcia 79% takedown defense. I weirdly feel like he's the more well-rounded guy here. Like if he's stuffing Grant Dawson's shots, holy crap, is he live at 3-1? I think his boxing is better. I've got chin concerns about Dawson because it's not like Bobby Green is the most authoritative knockout artist at lightweight, right? And he put him out very quickly. And I have my concerns. I have Dawson at minus 180, which I think would be a fair price against a guy who regularly goes the distance with good takedown defense. But I feel like I have to bet Garcia or pass at this number. And like Rafa's a guy that doesn't have very much name value, especially compared to Dawson, who's been in the rankings, but he busted up Guida in that fight plus 70. That's what you should do to Clay Guida, who's a really hard guy to knock out in general, even at 40 something. And he busted him up plus 78 striking differential. Like I think he's got the much better hands. That's kind of what my model sees. And like, maybe he can't stop the takedowns. Maybe he ends up 12 plus minutes on bottom here, but at plus 310, I'm willing to find out.
Yeah, I mean, if you take Grant Dawson by decision, you're taking that minus 440 down to minus 140. Yeah. It's still minus money on a decision prop, which sucks, but yeah, I think it's the right play. I would probably play that up to minus 150 just because I think Garcia, he's never been finished. I think you're going to have to sweat some of the submissions maybe.
Yep.
But I just think Dawson can smother him early with wrestling. I mean, when you saw what Dawson, I think Dawson was a dog in that fight too against, who was it who retired?
Ismagulov?
Demir Ismagulov, thank you. Yeah, that was that's as high level as a guy as it gets, right?
Sure.
In that department. And I think when you look at what Dawson did, he also has 2 round 3 subs. Jared Gordon, Mark Madsen back to back. And again, Madsen was a good wrestling guy. Jared Gordon has very good overall, very underrated grappling as well. And Jared Gordon couldn't really do anything in that Dawson fight. He was just all over him. So I think, but Garcia, I think, is very good cardio.
Yes, agreed.
So again, I just lean decision. I do believe you could sprinkle like a 2-3 sub maybe for Dawson, or even like a round 3 sub. I want to just look at that out of curiosity. I mean, 15-1 round 2 sub, 20-1 round 3. Like, I think you could play a full unit or even a unit and a half to win a unit on Dawson by decision, and maybe some like very small sprinkles for a 10th or a quarter of a unit on like the round 2-3 sub here, in case he is just higher level and is able to, able to find a good position and lock in a submission. So, but I think, again, my gut told me Dawson by decision here in this fight.
Yeah, I'm looking because sometimes other books will actually shave off a decision price if you bet a unanimous decision. I think that could be a good way to go with Dawson, because if he wins this decision comfortably, he probably does it by winning all 3 rounds, right? It's just Garcia by not being able to stay on his feet. So like if that knocks it down to like even a minus 115, minus 120 range, that's an even better sort of bet. But like I think the hardest part, and sometimes I've just trusted my model on this, I have a hard time seeing how Garcia wins this fight. So maybe I just take the money line and pray. But another approach here could be, if Dawson does get tired late and we play a Garcia cardio angle, what about plus 3.5? Wherever you might be able to find it with the handicaps if he can steal around late. And that
I
like
just
that
worry he gets 30-27. That's
Exactly.
the problem, but he just survives. I just like I would rather play the decision price on Dawson than the 3.5 on Garcia, but it's tough.
If that makes your card at 1.4 units, I think that's responsible. It's just it was intriguing to me that I didn't have him a larger favorite given his outstanding control metrics, but Garcia's kind of been a very good anti-grappler. I can't wait to see how this one looks. I really can't. It'll be a big one for the model. But why don't we move on to the co-main event of the evening, Matty? Brett, I think we talked about this because this fight got canceled after we did our show that week. But Jung Young Park and Brad Tavares are going to run it back. Park had a illness that week, so I'm glad they ran back this matchup. I don't think you were feeling my my hypothesis in this fight.
Was it Jung Young Park by sub?
Yeah, I had Park by sub in this fight. And
I didn't hate it. What I remember what I told you is Tavares elite takedown defense, but Park is a guy that can backpack you on the feet.
Sure.
I really think that is live. If he backpacks him on the feet, he could get a choke for sure. But I don't think Park's wrestling is good enough to take him down. I think he would need to like club and sub him.
Yeah.
Either club and sub or like jump on his back like Aljamain him,
Yeah. I just, I took the money line with Clayton Carpenter. We talked about this fight earlier. I have Park at minus 2.
9-1, by the way, on the sub for Park.
Oh, that's a phenomenal number. And where that comes from is Tavares has never been submitted. He's never been submitted in 24 UFC fights. That's where it comes from. I'm willing to take it when Park has shown that tendency, but just for him to win, I wouldn't be surprised if Park is just the better guy. He averages over a significant strike more attempt per minute at distance. 50% accuracy is higher. I know the grappling upside is coming from him in this fight. We know Tavares probably isn't going to shoot and isn't going to look to take things to the ground. I would not be surprised, closer to his prime at least, if Iron Turtle's just the better guy everywhere. I've been very high on Jun Young Park. I think that Muniz matchup was a particularly brutal one for him when his athleticism can be his ceiling. Brad Tavares was a little shot to me, and that's what I've seen. He was knocked out very quickly, I think, by Bruno Silva.
That was a stunning result, dude.
Yeah. And Rodriguez beat the brakes off him. Like RoboCop's great, but he hasn't really beat anyone that bad in a long time. So
Tavares eventually. I mean, what's the Park KO prop? Like, it's wow. How is it plus 410?
Yeah, so he's going to be distant inside the distance, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's a very difficult fight. It's like, what are we getting out of Brad Tavares here at his age, at the amount of wars he's been in his last, however many fights. I mean, the Chris Weidman decision win back in 2023, okay. But then the 2 fights before and after that, unlimited damage from RoboCop. Bruno Silva flatlines him.
Yep.
And then he goes the distance with the champ Duplessis, which I believe that's the only fight Duplessis really gone the distance against, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Strickland.
Oh yeah.
But outside of that, he's finished everybody. It's a tough fight. It really is. I mean, Tavares historically is pretty durable. Like goes the distance. Well, kind of goes the distance Adesanya, but then Shabazi MMA just makes no sense. It's like you go the distance with Adesanya, your next fight, Edmund Shabazi, and head kicks you in your first round. Then you go the distance to Duplessis, and then Bruno Silva knocks you out in round one. So it's just you just don't know what you're gonna get from Bad Tavares. I just think John Young Park is the right side here in general. I think Gilbert and Moicano on the Show Me the Money pod, which by the way that just went live at 6 p.m. Eastern today. If you guys want to check out the pod, we talked about Moicano's next fight, who he wants to fight, who he's calling out.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good show. We even had Ali come on this show, Gilbert's manager. So it was pretty entertaining. But anybody that wants to go check that out, that's live on the Show Me the Money podcast on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify right now. But both those guys like Tavares as a dog, I'm pretty sure. I like John Young Park here. I think it's his time. I don't know how he gets it done. Maybe it's a decision. Maybe he just outworks him. But I mean, can you really take the KO prop at plus 410? Like, who's he KO'd? He's KO'd.
You talking about Tavares or Park?
No, Park. Plus 410 is not enough for me.
No, I'm leaning much more sub. I've got inside the distance.
Yeah, at that number, it's just way better. He subbed Albert Duraev. He subbed Dennis Talulin. He subbed Joseph Holmes. 3 fighters back to back. But again, those are just lower level guys.
Yeah.
Went the split decision with Eric Anders. RoboCop TKO'd him in round 2. Hernandez choked him out in round 2. Shavkat round 2. Hey, Tavares round 2 here could be every time John Young Park loses, it's round 2.
Yeah, I just feel like he's made such exponential improvements since he was fighting Fluffy and even the Rodriguez
21-1, dude. Tavares round 2. 21-1.
Yeah, I don't know if I can endorse. I just from Tavares, like other than kicking Weidman's robo leg, I just really haven't seen many signs of life, bro. I think that's the tough part where I'm generally pro Iron Turtle. I think he's responsible at distance. Like in some ways, an older version of Tavares is sort of similar as a striking matchup to what you'll get out of Eric Anders. He's kind of low volume, not a ton of knockout power. And Park did pretty well with that, even though he had a hard time taking him down in that fight. So maybe this is why I like the money.
I've liked what I've seen out of Eric Anders, by the way.
Yeah,
like recently, I think Eric Anders has gotten a lot better.
Yeah, I'm with you. So just a little refresher. Model likes Park, and then 56.8% likely to go the distance. So I'm probably going to end up on the violence side. What's this fight's minus 210 to go the distance. I'm not that heavy on it. I prefer violence with that the case, but Tavares low knockdown rate, Park low knockdown rate. Do I want to put all my eggs in a potential sub basket there? Nah, I'd rather just play Park by sub.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's a tough one. This is an interesting comment. Start buying your sub bets from me. I'll give you better odds. Well, guess what, little buddy? We can gladly do that. You can house my 71-1 submission parlay that hit last week. Or you can house, what's funny is I bet on Bet Openly, the sub prop. I got to show you this bet, dude. I tweeted it. You probably saw it. I forgot I even put this in. Yeah, you can house that one. How's that feel? What's the other one I put in?
Shout out my guy, Jewish Better sent me that ticket.
This slip right here on Bet Openly, I put Court McGee 1,000 to win 7,800. Somebody hosted that on the other side, so someone literally put up 7,800 to try to take my 1,000, and it hit. This is for anyone that doesn't know, it's peer-to-peer betting. Here, hold on, I'm gonna send this to Mike so he can put it up, dude. I'm telling you, bro, I put this in like 3 days before the fight, and I forgot about it, and then they email you after every win. So I got the email and I was like, holy shit, I hit that on top of the bets I put in on him.
Yeah.
It was just crazy, dude. I was like, so yeah, there's literally a site for that. If you guys want to actually host my sub props, feel free, go make an account and you can try to host my action. But just remember, people forget. You got to put up 6K, 8K, 12K, 15K just to take my 1K. So just remember that. It's not as people laugh when I miss a sub prop, but how many long shot subs have I hit? I hit Morono 25-1. We hit this 70-1. We hit the 46-1 on Gene Matsumoto as the round 2 as a second leg. Like you just gotta hit one. We can lose and people can laugh at my Peloton by sub all they want. It's one bet. These subs pay for these winning subs pay for so many losses and some. It's ridiculous.
The way you and I bet UFC can be prone to cold spells. It can be prone to you don't win very many bets, but the ones that you end up getting right, I tend to ladder. Like sometimes I'll ladder underdogs money line inside the distance and a specific method and a specific round, and then all of a sudden,
There it is.
X amount for the night.
That's what I put up, and someone housed it, bro. Somebody said, "Oh, let me take this kid's $1,000 because it ain't hitting," and they put up 7,800 because it's peer to peer.
Yep.
And I took his money, bro. I felt great.
Not so fun being the book. It sounds like.
Let's take that off now.
All right.
Let's move. Any last thoughts on this one?
Yeah, main event here.
So to recap here.
Yeah.
What do you're just on Jun Young Park?
I will be playing. I parlayed Park. I will play inside the distance and sub for him as well.
Got it. All right. Oh, that's the co-main. That is the co-main.
Yeah, that is the co-main. And then we're talking
kind of a weak co-main, honestly.
It's the Apex, I was glad I had like 8-ish fights I could model. It's better than we've gotten at the Apex before. And this one should be a good one as well. The flyweight main event here between Brandon Royval taking on Tatsuro Taira, who might just be the next big thing and in line for an Alexandre Pantoja title shot. If he can get through Royval, and odds makers are somewhat confident he can. He's minus 290 to potentially win this fight here. Royval, a durable vet that doesn't go away typically very easily, Matty. So, we think a dog or favorite here in the main event.
So, money line, no chance I'm taking the minus 290.
Yeah.
Royval has everything you want out of an underdog.
Yeah.
Experience, cardio, finishing upside, dog in him. He's not going to quit. He's literally the most ideal underdog you could ever get. Like, forget who his opponent is, right?
Yeah.
Just look at that dude on the left, plus 215 against anybody. You get everything you want out of him as anybody. Anytime you bet on an underdog, you get every element of an underdog you would ever want. You get it with Brandon Royval. He's not going to quit. Cardio's insane. Went 5 rounds of Morono. Fought all the best guys in the world, Pantoja, Morono, all these guys. And he's got a lot of finishing equity. He can sub you. He can knock you out. With all of that said, I think you know where I'm going on this. We've seen Brandon Royval get submitted. He's long. Tatsuro Taira is dangerous there, right? He's just so dangerous. And we saw, Pantoja sub Royval. I hate to say this because Gilbert and McKenna are going to get mad at me, but I have a feeling Tatsuro Taira's pure submission abilities are even higher level than Pantoja, or at least even or up there with him, right? He's very dangerous, dude. He's very dangerous. So I'm struggling with this one. I think Royval money line is the right value side. I think Tatsuro Taira inside the distance or by sub, which I haven't even looked at the number. I'm about to do that right now.
So ITD.
Can't you just see Tatsuro? There's going to be so many scrambles in this fight. And I just think he's the more opportunistic guy that's going to be able to latch on him and get something here. So Tatsuro Taira by submission is the most depressing number I've ever seen in my entire life. Plus 150.
Yeah, I'd rather bet KO, honestly.
Knockouts plus 750, bro. I might have to do it.
Yeah, and maybe
imagine that as our last leg of the KO parlay. We're gonna get paid a fortune if that hits, because we're probably gonna go 3 legs with that as the last one. I don't know if we can do it. So if we go violence, the fight to not go the distance is minus 165, which I guess that's more about Royval's now shown he can go the distance with high level guys. but I just think he's kill or be killed. It's a different matchup than when he's fighting Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno isn't the finisher. Like you can argue who's better, right? Because Brandon Moreno's fought better guys. He's been around for so long and probably has the better crisp boxing. But I think Taira is the more dangerous, finisher. So like when you put a guy like Brandon Royval that's going to come forward, I just think this matchup stylistically is 5 times more likely to not go the distance than a Royval versus Moreno. Moreno is he's got a crazy chin. He's defensively responsible. He's very good defensively with his grappling, right? Like you're not subbing him. I think in this matchup, these guys both are such finishers, and I think these grappling exchanges are going to be complete chaos. So I think Taira by sub is how the fight ends. I think Royval is a live underdog here. I think that maybe Taira gets his back, gets it to the ground, and just starts teeing off on him. That at plus 750. That's the best number I think on the whole fight is Taira by knockout at plus 750. Now we haven't really seen Taira's chin get all that tested against anyone half decent, have we?
Not really. I mean, Shirez certainly was landing a bit on Taira. Perez was outstriking him early in that fight. So I don't know if either of those guys are like chin testers, though. I don't know if Royval is, though, either.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because Taira's coming off of 2 straight TKOs, technically speaking. The Alex Perez was a knee injury, but it's a TKO.
Yep.
Carlos Hernandez left hook the ground strikes.
It was ground and pound,
and then the 2 fights prior to the Shirez one, which went the distance, were both arm bars. Has Brandon Moreno been arm barred? Because let me see that real quick. So he only has 1 submission loss. It was just the Pantoja.
Yes.
Rear naked choke. That's it. That's his only submission loss.
Yeah, he did have his shoulder was separated in the first Moreno fight, so it was an injury TKO more than it was a submission, but in the same universe. I kind of feel like Brandon Moreno's declined a little bit, especially since moving to Mortis. I'm not nearly as high on him as I once was, and he's gotten a little older as well. I think minus 105 for Taira inside the distance is a very fair price here when I don't know how much you want a piece of him, like, later into this fight. We've never seen him into the championship rounds. Like, Royval's cardio is 1 of 1 in this division. He ran circles around Moreno in Mexico City. Like, I just think that when we've seen Brandon Royval go up against a guy whose main focus was to grapple against him, it hasn't gone well. Pantoja landed 8 takedowns. Rogerio Bontorin landed 8 takedowns, and Pantoja submitted him in their first fight. Man, Tatsuro Taira, he is very efficient with his wrestling. He is incredibly opportunistic about taking the back. 2.1 submission attempts per 15 minutes. We saw how he backpacked Perez and then corkscrewed his leg out from under him. Pantoja got that back so quickly, right, when those two fought. Taira is the same type of back taker. There 100%. Are wild scrambles in this fight. And and by the way, Brandon Royval's takedown defense, 40%. It's the worst in the rankings. It's analytically awful.
That's the other reason. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to mention that. Like, he gets taken down all the time. I think a lot of it's because he just doesn't give a shit. He knows how dangerous he is down there and off his back. But that's another reason you could almost look at Tatsuro by decision here.
Yeah.
It really is, because that number is, I mean, I've literally said all 3 outcomes: decision, submission, and KO. But decision is plus 280, and if you look at Royval, how bad his takedown defense is, if you trust him to not get subbed on the ground, I think you just take Tatsuro by decision at plus 280. He's probably just the better wrestler. He probably can inflict damage on top position. Yeah. And he can, if you trust both guys' cardio to go 5 rounds, it's not a bad look. So I don't know what I'm doing yet here on this fight. The sub feels like it's going to hit, but plus 150 is terrible for a guy that's only been subbed once in his career. So I think that number doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. It's tough. It really is. What about double chance KO decision? That would be such a sweat.
It would be a sweat. And your thesis that maybe the sub is a little overvalued as well. But I've got this fight 70.7% likely to not start round 4. My main play here, I think, is going to be violence. Taira hittable at distance, but also the submission danger as well. I think I'm going to play Taira inside the distance and the under. those are the two plays that I had written and circled down. And since we had props, I was able to verify. I've got inside the distance at minus 105. FanDuel's got inside the distance at minus 105. So I think it's fair.
Fight to not start round 4 is plus 118. That's very EV positive off your model.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because you said fight to not start round 4 is 70% chance, right?
I definitely prefer the under to Taira inside the distance because like the percentages of a round 4 or 5 finish is really weird. It's really weird to me that the under 3.5 is plus money and then Taira inside the distance is minus 105. Like, maybe I get burned on a late finish, but I just think there will be too much scrambling early. Royval's takedown defense is awful. This is not a guy you can play off your back against. He didn't submit Shirez, but he got very close twice. And by the way, the one last thing I want to touch on before we move on, Royval, I mentioned earlier, he's got this weird thing going on. He split away from his gym at Factory X. This is not the guy I think you want to have holes in your game plan. And it's like,
I agree.
More likely to make a mistake, more likely to have been playing against something that I just don't like that at all.
Now, I will say Shirez had been submitted twice.
Yeah.
Right? And didn't get subbed by Taira. But if you look at those subs, one was in a 5th round in 2020 outside of UFC, and then the other one was an armbar.
Yeah.
Back in 2018. So, I don't know. It's tough. Let's build some parlays, bro.
Yeah, let's do it. So I
need 30 seconds though. So chat, if you can we're gonna do a KO parlay, a safe parlay, and a sub parlay. So comment in the chat what you guys like for us to add in the parlays, and I'll be right back in 30 seconds. Now we got a long shot parlay. You pick one long shot, I pick one, and we put it in a parlay. Method of victory.
Don't we both like span sub 7-1?
Yeah, we do.
What about McGee sub at 8-1?
The thing is, bro, you print money just taking Tim Means to lose by submission. It really is crazy.
That's plus 7,100 right there, those two together. Wow. Absolutely. I didn't know we were going to play it again. I'm actually a little bit uncomfortable because I don't typically know what to do with my hands when we have like successful long shots. That's more Matty's thing. So, really, it was exciting. We are going to try to build, I guess, a submission and a knockout parlay. I feel like Matty and I are kind of split on a few outcomes, so that could make it a little challenging. But does anyone have any lines that they're looking at? I'll jot a few down right now that I'm going to run by Matty as far as our safe parlay. Things we like together. I think Polastri money line minus 140 could be potentially on there. Let's take a look.
I'm back.
Hey, Matty, I was just looking for stuff we might put in our safe parlay. Okay. A Polastri money line was the only one I got to thus far. I didn't get to scroll very far.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that one.
Yeah, I like that. I like that quite a bit. I think she does end up getting it done. What do you think about? I mean, we could go violence in the Razak AlHassan fight. We could go.
They still got Chris Barnett up on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean that's why my stuff didn't populate the opponent change, so that was unfortunate.
I'm down to run JSP in there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that works for me.
Minus 160, and then we pretty much need one more leg probably.
Yes.
The last one's going to be tough. I think we just have to, I think we have to, why don't we just go fight does not good at distance in the main event?
Okay. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that. What is the number there? I accidentally I do had a heart attack.
Minus 166.
Cool. Let me throw this again. I just accidentally clicked on Tavares Park with the
or do we go Jared Gooden plus 146 is the last leg? I'm down for that. We really liked him as a dog, and it gives our parlay a little more upside,
a little more oomph. Yeah. We'll get to the main event violence, I think, in a minute here. By the way, Model recommends Taira knockout. We'll get there in 1 second. Let's see. Let's go good. Okay, so if you tie Polastri, Pearce, and Gooden together, that's plus 582. Should I send that, Matty, to the press
100%. 100%. Okay. Let's run that.
We actually
the
have
last leg. The last leg would be Gooden, right? If it comes down to it.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I like that. Let's run that, bro. I like that a lot.
Alrighty, I'm with you. I will happily.
By the way, the safe parlay doesn't matter anyways. We just got to hit the big ones.
Yeah.
Imagine we go back to back. We go back to back on 70 to ones. I can feel it.
Yeah. Hey Jive chiming in, just parlay split decisions. I'd love to. FanDuel, unfortunately, no split decisions.
That'd be sick.
There are a few on this card. I think Rodriguez Morono could be a split. I'm looking at here. Roughly Pearce Sabatini could be a split. You've obviously got the McKenna Polastri fight. And Njoukuani Gooden could be close. There are a lot of close fights on this card. But so you wanted to do a knockout and a sub, right, Matty?
I mean, you mean two different parlays or
Yes.
one? Yeah, I'm about that.
And
So here's what I got for the knockout parlay. I got Abdul by knockout at plus 100, Jonathan Pearce by knockout at plus 350.
okay. Did you want to add? Did you want to add
Plus
one more?
130? Yeah, no. I do want to add one more for sure
do you
because
think
the
about
even
Taira?
money legs isn't enough, you know.
What do you think about Taira?
I'm down if the model likes it. This is gonna pay big if it hits.
I just think the outcomes are very even. Taira,
Bro, 75 to 1. It's just like last week. Let's do it.
Is it exactly 75 to 1?
70 plus 7550.
Okay, so a little north of 75 to 1. All right, so our KO parlay, I like that a lot.
I'm screenshotting that one, send it in Telegram.
AlHassan KO, but I think for fun, like on that, I do like that one as well. So, 3-leg knockout parlay: Tatsuro Taira, Abdul Razak AlHassan.
Oh, you got it. You're fast, bro. Yeah, bro, I like that a lot.
And
the Taira one's gonna be scary, but dude, I'm telling you, he flattens him out, gets on his back. I mean, you just gotta play the number at the end of the day. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're a submission junkie." Like, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
But if the submission's plus 150, it's not so attractive anymore to me. It's just not. You got to be contrarian. Look at Taira. Taira won by TKO his last two fights.
Yeah. From ground.
One was a stop. One was an injury, but it is what it is. That could happen.
Yep. It's when I weight them together, they're almost equal. So
yeah.
Sub. I'm not surprised Sub is because anecdotally he should get a back take in this fight, but I think at the number it's worth it. So
we need a sub parlay now.
You know what I'm gonna throw in there. Model approved.
Hold on, let me look. It is. It's on the main card.
Yes. I've been on this place since like last month, brother.
Oh, John Young Park. Yeah.
Correct.
I'm in on that, yo. He's gonna jump on his back on the feet. He's gonna backpack him on the feet. That's my prediction.
Yep.
And then I want to hear me out. You're probably not gonna like this because we're kind of double dipping here.
Oh, you like Sabatini?
Nope. Jared Gooden, 13 to 1.
I'm good with that. Let me double check.
Holy shit! It's 139 to 1 if we do that.
So I've got Gooden sub at plus 1560. So it's a little longer, but it's not nearly as bad as some of the subs that we usually can get.
I mean, I'm not opposed to putting something different in, but I think that is an option.
I told you the disgusting mathematic, and I don't think it's very likely, but Morono sub is showing the analytical value. It was about $100 shorter. Like I have it closer to plus 11. It's plus 12 on FanDuel. So I understand not wanting to throw that one in there.
That's going to pay almost the same. It's about the same number as. So it's like, do we go Gooden or Morono? You know?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Neither of those subs though make me feel as good.
Or do we go Julia? Do we go prelims?
We don't have it.
Oh, it's not up yet. Okay.
Yeah, I would if we had it.
Julia by sub.
I think Clayton Carpenter by sub would have been an interesting one as well if we had it. But
yeah, I mean, I kind of like
okay, Matty. I'm okay with Gooden. If you prefer Gooden to Morono, I think.
Oh, bro, how did we not get Gorimbo? I thought we were gonna put Gorimbo KO in there, but it's probably not pay great.
We don't have it. We don't have it. That's why.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah,
it's not up on FanDuel yet. That's why we didn't take it. It's not gonna be a good number.
You will put it somewhere before the end of the weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing, bro. Like, I like that KO 3-legger. I think that hits. I mean, it's going to come down to Tatsuro Taira, got him on the ground, and then does he get the neck or does he get the TKO? That's what it's going to come down to because the first two are hitting. The first two are hitting, bro. All right, so what's the sub one? Are we good here? I'm putting this in
Should I
Telegram.
go
Let me
grab
know.
a coin? Should we flip a coin right now? Heads is
No,
good.
let's let the people vote. Let's let the people vote.
Anybody out there, should we put Gooden or Morono in our sub parlay? The very first response might end
People
up
are going to say no to both.
well, we're putting someone in here. You don't have to bet it. We did just hit a 71-1 submission parlay. If you could give us a week's worth of grace. Do we have any comments?
Gooden. Hayden said Gooden. I'm in on Gooden, dude.
Gooden. I'm done.
I'm in on Gooden. Because think about it, we also get the upside of Chitty gassing and Gooden choking him. I like the Gooden one, bro. It's in Telegram. Mike, go ahead and put that last one up on Telegram. I just put it in there. You can take one of these off, or if you can go 3 to a screen. The Gooden submission, Jun Young Park submission. 100 pays 14 grand.
Yeah.
$100 pays 14 grand. Jared Gooden by submission. Jun Young Park by submission. That would be twice the amount we hit for last week.
Yeah. On theory,
there it is, chat.
Why?
There it is. Make sure you guys screenshot these right now while you're watching the stream. Screenshot these and then tweet at me. Tweet at us at MattyBetss at Swaim3 on X. Tag us if you guys put these in, but screenshot these right now so you have them. I'm gonna read them off one by one. We got 100 to win 14 grand on a submission parlay. Jun Young Park by submission. Jared Gooden by submission. We have 100 to win 7,500 on a KO parlay. Abdul by knockout, Jonathan Pearce by knockout, Tatsu Taira by knockout is the long shot one. And then we have a 3-leg money line, quote unquote safe parlay. Julia money line, Jonathan Pearce money line, Jared Gooden money line. So we're kind of double dipping on Jared Gooden, but I like it.
Reads are the reads, brother. The reads are the reads, and that if we like them, we got to take them. We took 2 different methods in there. At least if one of the money line guys doesn't lose, it doesn't kill all of the parlays, right? Because we split them up a little bit there. So
right.
I like those that we built as well, Matty. We'll try to keep it rolling because obviously if we can hit parlays in the vicinity of 100 to 1 every week, we'll be a pretty profitable show and keep things moving there. But I had a good time breaking down UFC Vegas 98 with you, Matty. We have it's a decent upcoming schedule here in UFC. We have the last week of the Contender Series next week. And then how about this main event? Fluffy Hernandez taking on Michelle Pereira. That is UFC Vegas 99.
That might be my dog of the year right there.
Yeah.
It's a tough fight. It's a tough fight for Fluffy because of how much Michelle moves around. Can he track him down? But I'll tell you one thing. I've been so high on Fluffy Hernandez for 5 years now. This dude is elite, bro. He's elite. He's so good. I hammered him against Roman Kopylov. Everyone hated that bet. I'm just telling you, Fluffy is the real deal. I mean, question is, can he get to Michelle Pereira, who is just so hard to track down on the feet, you know? But if he does, I don't know. I can see decision. Fluffy decision with a lot of control. Maybe a sub.
The people's main event on that card, Austin Lane, Rebellis Despain. So that rhymes.
Him, dude. I hate Rebellis Despain after what he did to me. Gilbert said Acosta, he's like, Acosta's winning that fight. And we all looked at him. We're like, no fucking way. And he did it. He called it by decision, too. He called it perfectly.
Did he know he was going to wrestle, though? Because if he had that inside info, I would have loved it from a betting perspective in that fight.
I mean, to be fair, he looked great defensively on the feet, too.
Yeah, true. Yeah, It was a bad Despain effort. He might be a fraud.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because I was rooting for him. Cuban guy, loved him in Miami. I was rooting for him, but it is what it is. But we will have that show for you next week. Next Wednesday, Matty and I will be back. Until then, you know where to find us on social media. Find us in the Home of Fight Discord. Thanks so much for tuning in. We love each and every one of you viewers. And until next Wednesday, may all your bets cash and have a great one.